Today we're going to take a look at the dollar Canada, and I've got a very interesting video in store for you because this isn't a great trading opportunity, but it's a potential good trading opportunity, and it's one that can be a potential home run trade as well. And dollar Canada, fingers crossed, right, has been one of the pairs over my career which I've been pretty good at hitting home runs on. They're rare, but for some reason this pair really agrees when I do that type of analysis. Now, first things first, right? Because we had a good conversation about this in the live room this morning, and hopefully I remember to make it a podcast episode for you. But understand that when we do videos like this, or whenever you look at a trading idea, we never know if it's going to win or lose, right? If we did, we'd only trade the winners. We would avoid all the losers. The fact of the matter is, trading is a long-term game of numbers, probabilities, and edge. And our job as traders is to consistently analyze the market, take all of the trading opportunities that meet our edge, and trade them. And that way our edge plays out long term. And I say that because, one, we had the conversation this morning about correlation risks, so the idea is still kind of fresh on my brain. But two, I know that some of you guys like to use these as signal services, right? That you like to watch these videos and just trade everything that I talk about. And when they win, you get all excited and you thank me. And when they lose, it's my fault. So please don't do that. Just look at this as analysis, and I hope you look at this from an educational perspective of how we kind of turn somewhat of junk into a tradable opportunity. So we're going to start on the weekly. We're going to do a lot of bouncing around here, so just be aware of that. And I want to take a look at something that has recently happened on the weekly that really sets up this trading idea, and that is the violation of this previous sideways channel, right? Price action found highs in Canada's back in back in October 2022, and we've kind of been going up and down, left to right since then. That is until last week, where we had a violation of structure to the upside, a higher high, higher close right here. If you're familiar with how I teach and how I trade, I follow a four-step process: IPDE, identify, predict, decide, execute. And a higher high, higher close. There's a good video on this somewhere on YouTube recently if you haven't seen it. That allows me to identify a violation of structure. It then allows me to predict that price is likely to go higher. And that's how I set up my bias. Now, prediction, the second part of that prediction is not just, what direction is price action likely to go in, but where is price likely to go next? And this is where things get a little bit fishy, right? So yes, we've broken out of a sideways channel. Awesome. But we are right in another period of consolidation. So it's not like a freeway, a highway with no traffic where you can go as fast as you want. The Autobahn, there we go. It's more kind of like driving in Los Angeles. If you've ever driven in Los Angeles, it's very crowded. Sometimes you're going to hit massive amounts of traffic. Sometimes you don't, right? Whatever those analogies were supposed to mean, it means it's not clear sailing up here. However, with that being said, I do think we can go a little bit higher up to that 42 even handle. And the reason I think that is because here on the daily, if we kind of take a little bit of a zoomed in view at this area, this right descending triangle that I showed you, if we look at 142s, that lines up really right with this level of structure right in this area. Again, there's a few overlapping levels in there as well. And again, it's not clear sailing, but that 142 psychological number is a good number that stands out to me. So we're still creating our bias. Let's kind of zoom back into what we were doing here. And this is where things get a little bit more confusing, right? This is also why it's important to use top-down analysis, right? So as we stand here on the daily, we can see that price action has come here, we held highs, we retraced, we broke out, and this move is a retracement right here. It is a retracement where? Right back, look left, structure leaves clues, to the previous highs that were broken. However, excuse me, frog in throat, if we look at this on the 4 hour, we're going to see something different. And this can confuse a lot of traders, right? Because we see a move here, we then see a move here, we see a move there, and we're like, oh no, Akil, we are in a bearish trend. Why would I want to get bullish if we're in a bearish trend? And this is why we want to be consistent in the time frames that we look at. If we're just bouncing around every which way, we never know what time frames we're using for what, right? However, if we're consistent in the time frames we're using, let's say the daily, for example, I know that this is a pullback in a bullish move on the daily. Even though it looks like a bearish trend on the 4-hour, this is nothing more than a complex pullback. And a complex pullback is a multiple leg pullback, right? So price action will typically do like this. It extends, it retraces, it extends, it retraces. However, in reality, right, those extensions look like this. And those retracements sometimes look like this, right? They're opposite trends in their own right before the next extension. So although this can be big, bad, and scary, it's actually quite normal. Now, something, and I told you there's good and bad in this video, something that I did not like, right, is the fact that after we found lows right here at our previous level of structure, look left, this is also a nice little, what is it, looks like a 50% Fibonacci. I didn't draw this out earlier, but let me see. Ooh, right on it. Bang, who the man, right? Nice 50% retracement here, which I like. The thing I don't like is the fact that after, right, so we saw some Canadian strength after a CPI report that came out, and we saw a little bit of correction from that. We came back up and we tested the 140 even handle, another psychological number, and we got rejected, right? What I would have loved to see is this thing push straight up, right? So that's not the greatest sign in the world. And I told you earlier, there's going to be some good, some bad to this trading opportunity. Now, where I got attracted to this trade was this on the hourly. Looking at this on the hourly, doing my nightly analysis, right? I'm looking at the ebb and flows. I'm thinking to myself, okay, we could come back up here. We could do head and shoulders, and then we dive right back down. Well, what are we diving right back down into? One, this previous base right here. And again, bigger time frame perspective, we know where this lies, right? Right at our previous structure highs that we've broken, previous resistance turn support. What else we have here is a potential advanced pattern formation in the form of a cipher pattern. I'll go through it quickly as this is getting long already, but a cipher pattern is going to look like this. Swing low to swing high, X to A to B, B to C. And as we creep down towards this 786, this is going to be the D completion point right at the 786 and the zone 786 all the way to the low of our bullish cipher pattern. And what this does for me is it gives me an excuse to enter the trade, right? I am a cipher trader. I'm an advanced pattern formation trader, right? So I have to trade these no matter what. It doesn't matter if the trend is bullish, bearish, sideways, upside down, right? If it is valid, I have to trade it. So it's a perfect excuse to get into this trade. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to trade this cipher. I'm going to take normal first targets, right? Nice conservative, try to get my money and get out the market. But instead of getting fully out of my trade, I'm going to hold on for a bigger position and see if I can put myself in a position to catch a move that goes all the way back up to retest these highs right here and then ultimately to that 142 even handle. And this is what I call a home run trade. A home run trade for me is when I'm in a position and I look to keep a partial component part of that position. There we go. Words, right? Good job, Akil. I look to keep a part of that position open for a bigger move. It doesn't happen too often, maybe a handful of times a year. But when you can get certain things lining up where it's like fundamentals and technicals, these can be big trading opportunities that can really make your trading year. And again, two things that I'm looking at with Canada here, and it's important to understand, right? Despite the fundamental reasons there of strong dollar and stuff like that, because there is some tricky interest rate stuff coming up for both Canadian dollar, the Canadian dollar and the US dollar, which will get interesting in December. But the underlying bias is that technical bias. I don't really care what's happening fundamental. I can only get involved in a trade not because I think it's good, not because I want to, but because I have a technical reason to, meaning something on the chart that meets my plan. And for me, when it comes to trading, that technical reason is the most important thing. Everything else is secondary. If we're talking investing, then it's flipped. Fundamentals first, technical second, but that's a story for another time. So wanted to explain Canada for you. It's a little bit different because again, it's not as straightforward as other trading opportunities. I don't think it's a great trading opportunity technically, but it does offer an opportunity that I'm interested in, and I like sharing different types of analysis with you. So I appreciate you guys hanging in for a longer than usual video. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I love to answer and talk trading with you guys. And I will see you guys next time I record a video. I'm gonna go get some food now. All right, take care.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name, all our insecurities are on display.